Hello, welcome to Celtic Crossroads from KILT Studios. I'm your presenter, Kenton Adler, Director of Advancement for Scottish Heritage at Lyon College in Batesville, Arkansas. Join me now as we explore an hour of music and story from all corners of the Celtic world. Our show is made possible in part by the Campbell Collection, a generous gift from the estate of the Duke of Earl, the late Robert Louis Campbell of Earl, Arkansas. The collection consists of music and literature now housed in the archives of the Lyon College Mabie Simpson Library, and by the Lyon College Scottish Heritage Program. Welcome to the program. It's homecoming and Scottish Festival weekend here on the campus of Lyon College in Batesville, Arkansas. We're going to start things off Friday evening with the director's reception. We'll have full events on Saturday that include Highland athletics and a dog show, and we'll have Irish and Scottish dancers. We will have vendors. We've got the Mudmen, a Celtic rock band from Canada, and of course we'll have plenty of pipe bands. And I thought that we would start things off with the Lyon College Pipe Band from Live at the Ron Robinson Theater, and this is Pipe Major Jimmy Bell playing a little bit of hornpipe and jig for you. We know that Crossing the Mensch is in there, and we know he finishes up with Glasgow Police Pipers, but there was some question about what things started off with and what was in between the Crossing the Mensch and the Glasgow Police. So if anybody recognizes the tunes, shoot me a note and let me know. That was the Rain Song from the Celtic tribute to Led Zeppelin called Long Ago and Far Away. Before that, we heard from the Tartan Amoebas and their album Giant with Head in the Clouds. Prior to Tartan Amoebas was the Waterboys from the album A Pagan Place, and that was the title track, A Pagan Place. And we started things off with Pipe Major Jimmy Bell at the Ron Robinson Theater, and he performed Crossing the Mensch and Glasgow Police Pipers and something else sandwiched in between there. You're listening to Celtic Crossroads, and I'm Kenton Adler, coming to you from Batesville, Arkansas, the campus of Lyon College, where we're holding our annual Scottish Festival right now and our homecoming weekend. Got a little football game going on Saturday afternoon, men's and women's soccer. So if you're not in a Scottish mood, you can always take in some athletics. And I'd like to remind you that on Sunday morning, we hold a Kirkin of the Tartans service, and that's at 11 a.m., and it'll be over in the big entertainment tent on the southwest side of Brown Chapel. We're going to carry on now with Moving Cloud from the album Foxglove. We're going to hear Kitty's Rambles, The Cook in the Kitchen, and Petio Rafferty. And after that, we'll hear Hevia from Tierra del Nadia and a tune called Naves. That's an Asturian tune. And then we'll have Small Talk with the Thornton Jig, James Burns Jig, and Duncan McKillop. And we're going to finish up this portion of the program with the Pogues from Peace and Love with Down All the Days. But here is Moving Cloud with Kitty's Rambles. Autumn by Jacqueline Tweddle. Autumn slithers in, back hame, auld haunts, corries in and settles down, it's nae stranger kins your feather rick back. The leaves fa silent smooth, the snaw creeps downward, undone breeze ahint the town. A wind comes up, blawing strange and bald, the leaves leave, and winter crawls in. You're listening to Celtic Crossroads, and we're coming to you from the Kilt Studios on the campus of Lyon College in Batesville, Arkansas. We're going to hear now from Eileen Ivers and Beyond the Bog Road with Mackerel Sky.
I'll tell ye a story that happened to me one day as I went down to Youghal by the sea. And the sun it was bright and the day it was warm. Says I, a quiet pint wouldn't do me no harm. I went in and I called for a bottle of stout. Says the barman, I'm sorry, all the beer is sold out. Try whiskey or paddy, 10 years in the wood. Says I'll try cider, I heard it was good. Oh, never, oh, never, oh, never again. If I live to 100 or 110. I fell to the ground and I couldn't get up after drinking the jar of the Gianni Jum Jum. Now the next thing I met down in Youghal by the sea was a cripple on crutches, and says he to me, I'm afraid in me life I'll get a belt of a car. Won't you help me across to the railwayman's bar? After drinking a quart of down cider so sweet, he threw down his crutches and he danced on his feet. So we ordered 2 more and a toast we drank up to the world's finest doctor, old Johnny Jumbo. Oh, never, oh, never, oh, never again. If I live to 100 or 110. I fell to the ground, I couldn't get up after drinking the jar of the Johnny Jum Jum. Sure, after a while, sure, I felt well enough. So says I, fill another, that cider's great stuff. After drinking the third, sure, I made for the yard, and I bumped into Brophy, the big civic guard. Come here to me, Mark, don't you know I'm the law? Well, I up with my fist and I shattered his jaw. He fell and his back was his toes turned up, but it wasn't I hit him, 'twas Johnny Jumbo. Oh, never, oh, never, oh, never again. If I live to 100 or 110. I fell to the ground, I couldn't get up after drinking the jar of down Johnny Jumbo. I was brought up in jail for being drunk in the street. After 2 pints of porter, I was out of me feet. So the guard testing me said these words if you can. Around the rugged rocks, the ragged rascal ran. When I managed that fine, sure, he asked me to state that I rattled me bottles outside Malachy's gate. But British Constitution nearly bottled me up, and I got 14 days without Johnny Jump Up. I went up the Lee Road, different for to see. They calls it the madhouse in Cork by the Lee. But when I got up there, I don't like to tell, they had the poor son so tied up in the cell. And says he, hello Jordan, to see you I'm glad. Tell them I'm not crazy, tell him I'm not mad. All that I had was a slug from a cup of that lunatic soup they call Johnny Jumbo. Oh, never, oh, never, oh, never again. If I live to 100 or 110. I fell to the ground and I couldn't get up after drinking the jar of the Johnny Jumbo. A man died in Cork Union by the name of McNabb. Well, we washed him and we laid him outside in a slab. O'Connor came up them his measure to take, and his wife took him home to a bloody fine wake. 'Twas about 12 o'clock and the beer it was high. Oh, the corpse he jumped up and says he with a sigh, I can't get to heaven, they won't let me up till I bring them a jug of down Johnny Jumbo. Oh, never, oh, never, oh, never again. If I live to 100 or 110. I fell to the ground and I couldn't get up after drinking the jar of the Johnny Jumbo. So come all ye young fellas and ladies as well, beware of that stuff that they brew in Clonmel. For God only knows whether you'll wind up in a madhouse or jail after Johnny Jump Up. Skidry out them by skidry aye at the die dum dum do. Thank you very much, everybody. Be nervous. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, folks.
You've been listening to Celtic Crossroads, and I'm Kent Adler. We just heard Jimmy Crowley from the album Uncorked with Johnny Jump Up. Before that was a young Welsh guitarist by the name of Gwyneth Raymond from her album Last Night I Heard the Dog Star Bark, and a tune she wrote called Bleak Night in Rabbit's Wood. And we started this portion of the program with Eileen Ivers from Beyond the Bog Road and Mackerel Sky. We're taking things out here with the Lyon College Pipe Band from the Ron Robinson Theater. It's Scott's Fest weekend here on the Lyon campus, and I hope we see some of you out there. And if not, we'll see you here next time at the Crossroads.